and now we're on the fourth, and the fourth is going to be a perfect fourth, and it's going to be the same as the major and the related minor, or the minor a a minor, or the minor scale, because it's a perfect. And then we have the 7-note away perfect fifth, which again is the same on the major as well as the minor scale and here on Phrygian. And then we have the sixth is a 8-note away minor sixth, which makes sense because it's a minor mode. Therefore, we flattened the major interval, which would be a 9-note away major sixth, flattened it to an 8-note away minor sixth. And then the seventh is a 10-note away minor seven, which makes sense because we took the major 7, 11-note away major 7, flattened it or moved it back to a 10-note away minor 7 as we would expect. So therefore, the differentiating factor between the Phrygian, which is a minor mode, and the main minor mode, which is Aeolian, is in interval terms, it's the second. The main minor scale has a 2-note away major second. The Phrygian is more minor than the minor mode because it has that minor 1-note away minor second. Therefore, if I knew this shape because I happen to play in A minor or in the related C major, then I could easily just use the same shape and convert this to E Phrygian and play the same shape. And then I can say, what if I want to convert from E Phrygian to E minor? Well, then, of course, I can just take this one interval difference and say, I need to shift it up. I need to augment it. So I could just take this note and shift it up, and that would change me to now be playing in a whole different shape, right? Which would be the E, the E minor, even though it's just one note difference, right? And that's one way you might think about it. So notice if I don't play the second, and I play just Phrygian without playing the second, I'm not playing the distinctive interval that shows that it's Phrygian as opposed to minor, and therefore it's ambiguous as to whether it's Phrygian or minor, and therefore that's one way that you can kind of move from one to the other, right? You might be able to say, I'm gonna convert to this shape that I know, I'm gonna noodle around in it, and then I'm gonna convert to E minor by basically just shifting this up in my mind. So I'm looking at the same shape, but that note I'm shifting up instead of converting my entire mind to a whole new shape. I'm thinking of the same shape and just shifting a note up. You can do it either way in your mind, right? And that'll lead you to actually do different things. And then once I'm in E minor, all of the relative positions to E minor are now available to me, right? Meaning the relative modes relative to the E minor. E minor would be the sixth or of the related major scale, right? And you can go on from there. Okay. But now we're on the fourth. So we're looking at the fourth interval from pivoting around this note. And so the fourth is now this is the one I'm going to mess up all the time because it's a 5-note away, which leads me to want to say perfect fifth. But no, it's a 5-note away perfect fourth, which has an inverse of the 7-note away perfect fifth. The perfects are inverses of each other. All right. So we're going to say the 5-note away. It's 5 notes away. So I could count it up this way, 5 notes away on the same string. That's possibly the first way to look at it. So it's going to be 5 notes, which makes nice, easy sense because I can reach up there 5 notes. That's about as far as I can reach and still be able to grab both notes with my fingers. And then we can go up one. So let's go up a string and say, okay, where's the 5-note away perfect fourth? By the way, we've seen this shape when I looked at the major, when we pivoted around the C, because it also has a 5-note away perfect fourth. The perfects are the same on the major and the minor, and in this case in the Phrygian, but we didn't go above it because we were up here on the C, so we didn't go above it. Now we're down on the second string, which means we have the note above it that we can go to, and we have a little bit different shape when we hit the fault line down here. So if I go above it, remember that I have to take the inverse distance. So it's a 5-note away perfect fourth. 12 minus 5 is 7. So I'm going to say this is -5, -6, -7. So if I look at this shape, I can count it up here, -5, and then -5, and then -6, -7. Wait a sec. Hold on a second. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. What am I tripping on? You're tripping, man. All right. So then I'm going to say, there it is. So that means that if I went from top to bottom, A to E, it's a 7-note distance. That's our power chord. That's a 7-note away perfect fifth. But that means that the inverse, going from the bottom, measuring from the E up to the A, is a 5-note away perfect fourth. So the perfects are inverses of each other. If you make one perfect, you got to make the inverse perfect. All right, so that means that if I go up one string, the 5-note away perfect fourth will always be 2 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would only happen on this string because that's the only string where I can go up 1 fret and cross the fault line. So like if I was on this E right here and notice that the fault line is pushing this tectonic plate shifted to the right. Therefore, if I did have to cross the fault line, it's going to be a little bit longer distance. Instead of 2 frets back, it's going to be 3 frets back. Okay, so let's go down a string and say, let's go down 1. And we're looking for the 5-note away perfect fourth. By the way, the 5-note away perfect fourth from chord constructions, because it's a fourth, an even, means we skipped it. We went from the 1, 3, 5, that's our normal, and then we'd go up to the 7, and then the 9 is equivalent to the 2, and then the 11 is equivalent to the fourth. So the perfect fourth from a chord construction perspective, if we think of it just as a circle, I'm not getting into octaves, would be it's equivalent to being a 5-note away perfect 11th. We can think of it as well, right? So if I go down 1, where's the 5? I'm looking for 5 notes away, so it's just down 1 is 5 because there's 5 notes between the strings. So if I'm here, down 1 is 5. So E to A is going to be our 5-note away perfect fourth or 5-note away perfect 11. And that means that if I go down 1 string, the 5-note away perfect fourth is always on the same fret unless we cross the fault line, which would only happen between these 2 strings, right? So what if I did that? What would happen? Here's the E over here. If I go down, it shifts up. Why? Because this tectonic plate shifts to the right. So that means that the 5-note away perfect fourth or 5-note away perfect 11 will always be, if I go down 1 string, on the same fret unless it's crossing the fault line, which only happens in this one instance on this string. And if that happens, then it's going to be 1 fret forward in that case, the exception to the rule. All right, let's say that we go down 2 strings. If we go down 2 strings, I could see it back here. Let's count it out. 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So let's count it out here. I'm right there, 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So we have from here to here. So E to A. So that's going to be a 5-note away perfect fourth. So if I go down 1, 2 strings, then the 5-note away perfect fourth will always be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back unless I cross the fault line. Now I could cross the fault line in 2 ways this time, right? If I find the E here, it's going to cross the fault line. Let's find it up here so I have room. So if I found it on this string, which is way up on the 14th fret, but just for theory purposes, and I go down 2 strings from there, we're going to get to the A, and so notice it's going to be a longer distance. It's a shorter distance because this tectonic plate shifted forward. So if I go down 2 strings and I don't cross the fault line, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back. If I go down 2 strings and cross the fault line, it's only 4 frets back. Now you can also imagine that I find the E on this string. Where's the E on this string? Here's one up here just for, then I will also cross the fault line because the fault line is right here, right? And therefore you're going to get that distance going from E to, what was I looking at? Where's the A here? Oh, I was trying to go one string down, two strings down. There it is right there. So now you have two exceptions to the rule, right? Because now there's two strings where you're going to be crossing the fault line if I go two strings down from whatever point I'm at. All right. I'm getting too crazy with it now. Let's keep it simple, man. Keep it simple. Let's go down 4 strings and cross. Now we're going down, sorry, 3 strings, and now we've crossed the fault line again. So now my things are out of sight. Just pull these back. So now we're going to say, okay, that's going to be 5, 10, and then now we cross the fault line. So there's 15 up here. 15 minus 12 brings us back to 3, and then 4, 5. Let's count it this way. So now I'm going to be from here. It's going to say from there 5, 10, and then up to here 15. 15 minus 12 is 3, 4, 5. So from here to here, B to A. So that means that the 5-note away perfect fourth or 5-note away perfect 11th, if I go up 3, if I go, I'm saying down directional wise, if I go down 3 strings on the guitar from top to bottom, then the 5-note away perfect fourth is going to be 1, 2, 3 frets forward if I cross the fault line. Now, of course, I would cross the fault line here, and if I went down to this string underneath it, right? So this E to this A is going to be the same distance because we crossed the fault line, but I don't necessarily have to cross the fault line because I could be on the top string, right? So I could be going from here to here. So so the general idea is if I go down 1, 2, 3 strings, then the 5-note away perfect fourth is only going to be 2 frets forward, unless I cross the fault line, in which case the tectonic plate shifted to the right, therefore it's going to be further forward. It would be 3 frets forward. All right. So notice it's that fault line totally messes everything up, right? Because all of our shapes are not uniform as they are, you know. So, but that doesn't mean we don't want to learn the shapes, right? That just means we have to learn the shapes and then look at the exception when it crosses the fault line. All right, so let's say we go 4 strings down. Now, if I go 4 strings down, it's going to cross the fault line by definition. It has to. Otherwise, there won't be enough strings, right? So it's going to be 5, 10, and then this way to 15. And then we're going to go 15 minus 12 brings me back down to 3, and then 3 plus another 5 is 8, and then 7, 6, 5. So there we have it here. So let's count it out this way. It's going to be here 5, 10, and then up here to 15. 15 minus 12 is 3, plus another 5 is 8, 7, 6, 5. So here we have it, boom. Right there. Let's see if I can grab that. So that means that if I go down 4 strings, then the 5-note away perfect fourth will always be 2 frets back. Now, the only possible other way I can go down 4 strings is if I start on the top string, right? And that means that if I go down 4 strings, I'm going to go to this one. I still cross the fault line. The fault line got crossed here. The fault line got crossed here. And so, therefore, it's always going to be, if I go down 4 strings, the 5-note away perfect fourth or 5-note away perfect 11th is going to be 2 frets back. There is no exception to the rule. All right, so then we're going to let's go to the next one and say, oh, by the way, this one down here, I could have said it would be easier for me to find it up top, of course. So I could have said, hey, look, let me find it on this string first, and then it'll be the same down here. How do I do that? Well, the 5-note away perfect fourth has an inverse distance of 12 minus 5, which is 7. And then I would go 5, negative 5, 6, 7. And if that's it here, it has to be the same down here because they're the same notes, just different octaves. All right, enough of that, for crying out loud.